While the residents of Weatherfield will be pleased to see Roy's Rolls reopens in tonight's Coronation Street, they might not be impressed with the shocking change to the menu. It seems the beloved Roy Cropper has used his recent cafe closure to sneakily raise his prices. The iconic eatery, which has been in business for over 25 years, had to be shut down last month after vengeful Mal Roper set it ablaze. Furious at being rejected by Bernie Winter-Allahan, Mal faked his departure from the street before returning to start the fire at her place of work. Unbeknownst to Mal, Roy was asleep in the flat upstairs, having left his bat-watching trip early after feeling unwell. Fortunately, Roy was rescued from the flames, though the cafe has been closed ever since. In tonight's episode, a giddy Fizz Dobbs and Chesney Winterbrown head over to Roy's Rolls for the grand reopening of the cafe. The pair eagerly discuss its new look, with Chesney hoping Roy chose something bright to cheer the place up. When they arrive, the siblings struggle to hide their disappointment as everything looks exactly the same as before. As they scramble for compliments, Roy points out the addition of low-energy lighting and wall insulation. Personally, after all that effort, I would have wanted to see a bit of a difference. But, Roy, hey-ho. If you're happy, Fizz says. Nina Lucas points out that the back wall is 3 shades darker than it was before, adding that she had to nag her uncle to make the change. But eagle-eyed viewers might also notice that the specials board now advertises pie, chips, and mushy peas for £6.95, which was originally priced at £5.50 before the fire. This isn't the first time Roy's cheeky price increase has made headlines, as a previous bold business move caught the eye of Martin Lewis back in 2023. Fans pointed out that the price of his pie, chips, and mushy peas more than doubled from £2.60 to £5.50 in the space of a few months. After being tagged in the online chatter, the money-saving expert chimed in to shame his ITV colleague. But as today's episode proves, Roy isn't fazed by complaints of capitalism. The cobbles were never quiet for long, but this time, the drama brewing on Coronation Street wasn't about a fiery feud, a secret affair, or a police investigation. Instead, the center of chaos was Weatherfield's most beloved café, Roy's Rolls. And when a Coronation Street legend made a shocking change behind the counter, customers were left furious, confused, and wondering if the iconic café would ever be the same again. Roy's Rolls had always been more than just a greasy spoon. It was a place of comfort, a safe haven where locals gathered for gossip, tea, and Roy Cropper's famously predictable menu. Bacon barms, full English breakfasts, and mugs of strong tea had become staples of daily life on the cobbles. But all that stability was suddenly thrown into question when a bold new decision rocked the cafe to its core. The trouble began early on a gloomy Monday morning. Regular customers shuffled into the cafe expecting the usual routine, only to stop dead in their tracks at the sight of a completely redesigned menu board. Gone were some of the cafe's classic comfort meals. In their place were trendy alternatives nobody had asked for. Plant-based breakfast wrap, oat milk caramel latte, avocado sourdough special. The reactions were immediate and brutal. Steve McDonald nearly choked on his tea when he realized the traditional builder's breakfast had vanished. Chesney looked horrified after learning the cafe no longer stocked his favorite sausages. Even Mary Taylor, usually open-minded about quirky changes, admitted the menu looked like something from central London. But the biggest shock came when the mastermind behind the transformation was revealed. Carla Connor. In a surprising twist, Carla had stepped in to help modernize Roy's Rolls after concerns that the cafe was falling behind competitors. With trendy coffee shops opening nearby and younger customers drifting elsewhere, Carla believed drastic action was needed to save the struggling business. And she didn't hold back. According to Carla, Roy's Rolls needed to evolve or disappear. Her plan was simple: modern branding, healthier food options, updated decor, and premium pricing. She believed Weatherfield's iconic cafe could become fashionable while still keeping its heart intact. Unfortunately for the loyal customers, the reality felt very different. Within hours, complaints were flooding in. Kirk moaned that the portions were smaller. Bethany secretly mocked the expensive drinks online. Dev joked that customers would need a bank loan just to afford breakfast. Even worse, Roy himself seemed deeply uncomfortable with the changes. Though he appreciated Carla's attempt to help, Roy quietly struggled with the cafe losing its identity. He watched nervously as confused pensioners walked back out the door after failing to recognize the menu. The once warm and familiar atmosphere suddenly felt cold, polished, and unfamiliar. For longtime fans of Coronation Street, the tension hit hard. Roy's Rolls has been a cornerstone of the show for decades, a symbol of routine and community amid the endless chaos of Weatherfield. Seeing it transformed into something almost unrecognizable felt emotional for both the characters and viewers alike. And the backlash didn't stop there. Abby Franklin bluntly told Carla that the cafe was trying too hard. Tyrone admitted he missed the old place. Nina, caught between supporting Roy and understanding Carla's business instincts, found herself trapped in the middle of an escalating feud. But the true breaking point came during lunchtime chaos. A delivery mix-up left customers waiting nearly an hour for food while staff struggled to prepare the new menu items. Tempers exploded. Steve demanded a refund. Gemma threatened to take her business elsewhere. One furious customer even called the cafe Weatherfield's biggest disaster since the sinkhole. As panic spread across the cafe floor, Roy finally snapped. In a rare emotional outburst, he admitted the changes had gone too far. The cafe, he explained, was never meant to chase trends or compete with flashy coffee chains. Roy's Rolls was built on familiarity, kindness, and simple comforts. Customers didn't come for avocado toast. They came because the cafe felt like home. The speech silenced the room. Even Carla looked shaken. For a moment, it became clear that the issue wasn't really about food at all. It was about identity. About preserving something meaningful in a world constantly changing around them. By the end of the dramatic episode, Carla reluctantly agreed to scale back some of the changes. The classic breakfasts would return. Prices would be lowered. The trendy experiments would remain limited, rather than replacing the entire menu. But the damage had already been done. Customers left divided. Some appreciated the attempt to modernize the cafe, while others feared Roy's Rolls might never fully recover from the controversy. And fans online exploded with reactions. Social media lit up with debates over whether Roy's Rolls should evolve with the times or remain exactly as it had always been. Some viewers praised the storyline for reflecting real-life struggles facing traditional cafes across Britain. Others simply demanded the return of proper breakfasts and giant mugs of tea. One thing became certain. Coronation Street had once again turned an everyday setting into gripping television drama. Because on the cobbles, even changing a cafe menu can spark heartbreak, outrage, and emotional confrontations that leave the whole street talking. And as Roy quietly wiped down the counter at closing time, one question still lingered in the air. Can Roy's Rolls survive the future without losing the soul that made Weatherfield fall in love with it in the first place? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Coronation Street Scoop News Update.